rather than doing another computer video in front of my computer in my lounge, which, as much as I love my studio, isn't particularly fun. You can run anywhere you like, girls. So just dropped down to my local tech guy to find out what my options are with this computer. So he came over yesterday and spent a better part of maybe 4 hours, maybe even longer, trying to figure out what was wrong with drivers at a software level, so to speak. And after doing all that, I did the exact same thing today, and as he told me last night, if you can't figure it out from software, it must be a hardware issue, which I suspected. Which is sod's law, as this is now the 4th graphics card in less than 2 years. So in the last 2 years I've owned a 980, a 2060, a 3070, and now 4070, which have all failed, which is miserable. Now, as it stands, I do actually have a GoFundMe campaign already running to replace the failed hard drive. Now, yesterday somebody did actually send me £50 via PayPal because I was moaning about this issue. Don't go too far, please. Stop. Clover, stay where I can see you, please. Come this side. There's a whole field. There's a whole field behind me. Where do they want to go? They want to go beyond where I can see. Of course, it's actually quite beautiful up here. You can probably see. Anyway. So, I spoke to Craig, my tech guy, at Click OK, and he said first thing to do is disconnect the GPU and run the iGPU and the CPU so you can keep your show running. Now, as I explained to him, I actually tried to use the integrated GPU initially when I first got the computer. It's just not powerful enough to run the show. I say it isn't. It can either record or stream, but not both. So it's not really a solution as far as I'm concerned. I do want to be able to record the show, so should it fail, it can continue recording. That's the idea, having a bit of redundancy. Obviously, if the entire system's failing, that's kind of moot. Nevertheless, so what I'm going to do in this video at least is put my, as somebody did support me via PayPal in this instance, my PayPal link, although I won't mention who it was that gave me that money. They specifically said it was for keeping my wife happy, to get her something nice, but getting a replacement graphics card to replace the 3-month-old failed one will keep her happy if I'm happy, let's just put it that way. So I'll put a link to that GoFundMe campaign, which I'll now have to increase. I think it was 500 quid, now it's going to be £1,000. Now I've got 50 quid towards the £550 or so that it will require. No, do not do that. No. What would you say? Would you say yes to them if they said, I want to go down this BMX slope? The answer is no. Come away from there before you die. Anyway, so the solution is to try and just replace it, basically. Now, the old graphics card is only 3 months old. When you're up that high, really? 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 Anyway, the solution short term is what I've just said: disconnect the graphics card and run the iGPU. But I know what the problems that will give me, although I will do that immediately once I get the kids back from their drama class. But long term, I need a graphics card, so I'm going to have to replace it. Now, by fair means or foul, I might be able to potentially recoup some of the costs involved in doing this by RMAing the old graphics card to MSI themselves. Now, I don't have any receipts or purchase information or anything from the person who originally purchased it, whose name's Paul, because he's out of contact. Now, even if I did, I know that I think the person that he bought it for him in the UK are fussy, will give me a pain in the arse, regardless of what the issue is, whether or not it's their fault. I'm going to be having a pain in the arse for a significant period, and at this point, having lost a fair amount of money from not streaming. Eleanor, can you come off the BMX track? It's dangerous. You're not on a BMX. And you, Clover, just come off the BMX track, please. Because it's dangerous. You've got all this space and you want to go on the only thing that can kill you? Of course you do, your kids. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to order a graphics card. I don't actually have the money to do this, but like with the hard drive when I just ordered it, when I first started the GoFundMe that I'm going to be, not GoFundMe, GiveSendGo. Yes, Clover? Oh, I did this out.
Use of a monster craft because a monster craft was here
monster?
Oh, the monster truck.
The monster crack?
There's a monster truck.
The monster truck?
Yeah.
Oh, you think it's a track for monster trucks? Well, it could be. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to have to do. I'm just going to have to accept the fact that my overdraft is there. No, is it anymore since I've declared myself self-employed? I may not have an overdraft to do this. Normally I'd just dip £500 into the red and go, well, that's life. I've got to buy something to keep the show running. But in this instance it's a bummer because I've already, number one, asked people to help me, which I'm doing now obviously, and number two, hold on, just be safe, just, yeah, so long as it's safe, go. So that's what I'm going to do, if I can, if I still have an overdraft. I do vaguely remember Barclay sending me a letter saying, no overdraft for you, Mr. Self-Employed, earning no money. And not streaming has cost me a small, well not small, a fairly significant to me amount of money. Maybe not significant to most, but that means that I'm already down because I'm in live streaming because the computer's been out having hard drives fitted and now the GPU that is new has failed. So the long and short of it is I can potentially recoup some of that money after the fact. It's just going to take time to box up that GPU and try and get it sent back to MSI, to RMA it, which may mean that they just fix it and send it back to me, in which case I can stick it on eBay second hand, having already bought a replacement. But as the case may or may not be, I don't think I've got the money to actually do this. In the last few years I might have done when I had an overdraft, but so this might be a more necessary e-baking video than I thought, and if it is, then that means there might not be a show for a while. Although I can at least live stream with the iGPU. I'll figure that out. Whatever I do in terms of the show at this point with a half broken PC. The other thing I discussed with Craig, and I was already looking at this before I brought it up with him, was the idea of just replacing the case. So as much as I'm touched by Paul's generosity to buy me this PC, it is ultimately the sum of its combined parts. He's not going to hurt you, and in that respect the case is fundamental because I think it's probably the reason the last two and maybe the next one that goes into this computer might fail. Now that might not be the case, it could just be bad luck, in which case this will be, even if it is bad luck, my last attempt to make this PC work. And if it doesn't, I'm going to throw 500 quid again at just replacing the case with a complete water-cooled system. So it achieves the same ends, which is to be silent 3 inches away from my microphone, and stable, that is to say it's reliable. So I've already discussed those options with Craig as well, what would be involved in replacing the case entirely and water cooling the RAM, the GPU and the CPU so that it can just sit and be ignored for 5 years like I've always wanted for the last 14 months. Anyway, so there'll be a PayPal link below. Massive shout out. I will pop that person after maybe I speak to them about whether or not I can actually ascribe that £50 that they gave me to keep my wife happy, in quotes, to this particular endeavour, which is replacing an already brand new, just replaced GPU. As I say, that in and of itself might result in me recouping some money if I can sell it second hand, if I can get it repaired via MSI. If not, it's just going to be the case that I can plod on with a show if I do replace the graphics card immediately at a cost of about 550 quid. So that's what I'll do. Hold on one sec.
Are we going home?
We are now, yeah. Unless you want to run around. We're in someone's way now, though. We're in someone's way. So in any event, after summing it up with Craig, the long and short